Downtime in the ring.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Downtime in the Ring. This week, we have a very special guest, a guest that we've been wanting to have for a long time. We're super excited to have her. And I think once you hear the name, you're going to recognize this young lady. We have Izzy Moreno this week.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on. So excited to be doing this with you guys. I'm doing great. Like I said, I'm really excited to be doing this officially. Thank you so much for having me on. Let's get right into everything.
Let's talk about that big, beautiful belt that's on
Yes.
your shoulder.
Yes.
Let's talk about that real quick.
Oh man. Well, for those who don't know, I am the Mission Pro Wrestling champion. Mission Pro Wrestling is an all-women's company based out of San Antonio, Texas. It is run by Thunder Rosa, who, even though me and her we're kind of feuding a little bit, I will say she does know how to run an incredible brand because Mission Pro has been just so amazing and welcoming to me. Pretty much it's been less than a year I've been wrestling, so basically kind of like my first year of wrestling, they've been just so gracious with me, and I'm just so grateful to have them in my life. So yeah, I've been wrestling with Mission Pro Wrestling since August of last year. It's been a journey to become Mission Pro Wrestling champion, but I just became Mission Pro champ on June 15th. I beat Tiffany Nieves, and I have some big shoes to fill. There have been some amazing past champions from Genocide, Holiday, La Rosa Negra, who is actually my next match at Mission Pro Wrestling, and then also Tiffany Nieves. So, this is a huge honor for me. It's still very surreal. I have it in my room, and sometimes I just look at it and I'm like, are you even real? Are you really here with me? But yeah, it's been such an amazing experience being the youngest Mission Pro Wrestling champion, being able to carry this around, this being my first ever title. It's been really awesome.
Congratulations to that. And
thank you.
I know that you said that you've only been officially wrestling for about a year, but you have so much to professional wrestling. How does that? So I don't want to ask how that feels because probably everybody does. But, looking back at from when you were small to the young woman that you are currently, how does that feel? Because you have done at least a couple of interviews in your time, and I believe at Full Sail, how does it just the way that you've grown up in professional wrestling? Can you give us a little insight on how that feels?
Yeah, it's been a very interesting experience to say the least, but I think in the best way possible. I think, starting out so young and being so young in this industry, I think it's really has allowed me to experience a lot of incredible things. It's given me an amazing platform. With my fans and to create so many BFFs, as I like to say. But yeah, I think I look back at all the times that I was in wrestling and that I was really everything from when I was doing my online show, The Hot Tag with Izzy, to even when I was managing at like 10, 11-ish. I think all of those were just kind of me preparing to be in the ring, getting comfortable on camera, being able to do a promo in front of the crowd. Like, I don't think, like, I knew people, like for me, it was just a way to really prepare for being an in-ring competitor. And I don't think people kind of I don't want to say they understood that, but that was kind of like my little secret with it. I was like, yeah, I love doing the hot tag. It's so much fun, but really it's for me to get good at my promo skills. But yeah, I think I've been so fortunate to grow up in this industry and learn so much. And I was thinking about it, especially this past week. Like, I don't think for what I've experienced, if it wasn't for that, I don't think I'd be where I was today. I feel like I'd still be really finding out things a little bit differently, maybe even learning the hard lessons now that I've already learned in the past. So yeah, I think, starting out young, it's been amazing and I love it. And it's like, I get to, at school, it's like cool. Like, oh, I'm like, kind of like, I'm almost like a superhero. Like I get to go to wrestling training on the weekend, or like I'm going to a wrestling show and like, I'm interviewing my favorite wrestlers on the weekend. Like, it was like that. But then also, there were some bumps in the road, but like, I look back at that and I'm like, I don't think I'd be where I am today if it wasn't for that. So yeah, it's been a roller coaster growing up in this industry so young. Let's just say that.
Yeah, even like being super fan. Like I remember you just like during every Bailey match ever. Sorry, and I'm showing my age here because I was like, man, you were so young back then, and just seeing you as an MPW as a champion and all this stuff, it's crazy to see that rise to what you are now. Like how does it feel going from being that super fan on TV, hugging Bailey, to training with the likes of Ace Steel and then moving to San Antonio and just learning the business from all those aspects from your show in the broadcast sense and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I think for me, there's a lot of nostalgia when it comes with it. I think I'll literally have like full circle moments when I'm like with a fan. It's like I remember at my debut, a little girl, she had like her own like custom Izzy shirt. And I remember doing that for Bailey when I was like just starting to attend NXT shows. And I'm like, wow, this is really crazy. This is so full circle. But yeah, I think and also the coolest part for me is when fans always say, like, oh, like I remember like seeing you on NXT all the time, and like now you're wrestling. Like I get those tweets all the time, and it's like I really do like take a minute to like look at the picture, like because they'll usually post a picture of like me when I was young at NXT, and then like me now, and I really take like a minute to like look at that, and I'm like, wow, like I've come so far, and it's like cool that like people are recognizing that, and like people have been a part of my journey for such a long time. Like I'm really thankful for that. So I think for me, it's like there's a lot of like I feel very nostalgic sometimes, and then also I'm just like so grateful for those people who've like literally have been with me since like day one.
So, you know, with your age and how young you are in a specific group of young women that are currently trying to take over professional wrestling. Brooke Havoc, Ericademia, just to name a couple. How does it feel to be grouped up with those young ladies and seeing what they've accomplished in their first year compared to what you've accomplished? You've all stride and made great accomplishments in that time. What do you see for year 2 as August approaches and the end of year 1 comes to a close?
Yeah, well, first off, it's a huge honor to be recognized with Brooke Havoc and Eric Academia. They're two people that I love to watch, and I think they're extremely talented. Um, Going into year 2, I get so giddy about it because there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that's going on that I can't really talk about. But I just look at everything that's happened in my first year, not even my first year of pro wrestling, because my wrestling anniversary will be August 12th. I just think like everything I've done, and not even in the first year, it's been so incredible. And like, I just have really enjoyed it all. And there's like, I look back on all the moments and I'm like, man, like I remember that specific match. Like, even as small as the match may have been, like, I've like, oh, I remember that. And like, I remember what came with it and how much fun it was. And I think for me, I always just like, think like, yeah, like I get tired from like the traveling and like, the training, and like sometimes I get a little bit burnt out, but I never get tired of the actually doing it, actually wrestling. I never get tired. I've never woken up on a show day and been like, oh, I gotta wrestle. Like I'm always like so hyped. And it doesn't matter like what's going on in my life. I'm like kind of struggling. If like I have a lot going on, I'm just like, oh my God, I get to wrestle. Like it's just, I just get so excited. And that's literally how I feel today. I'm actually wrestling tonight at my pro wrestling school. They're doing one of their monthly shows tonight. And I'm like, oh my God, like I get to wrestle today. Like today's like such a good day. Like I'm just so like grateful that I get to wrestle and I get to do this. But yeah, this whole first year has been amazing. I don't even want to talk about year 2 because that's going to be like even crazier and like just so rewarding in a way. And like the payoff is going to be insane. So yeah, I'm like so excited for year 2. Like people are just going to like, oh, I just can't wait for like my fans just to like see everything unfold really. So yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Speaking of first matches, I wasn't able to watch your debut match, but I did a match that got me hooked onto you as a pro wrestler was your match with Morgan or
JP Harlow.
JP Harlow. And not the
JP
oil guy.
Morgan's a bank, bro.
Not the bank, not the oil guy.
Not
but you came out. It was a San Antonio Stampede match.
Yep.
And I know you were in a previous interview, you were talking about how you were ready to be in a hardcore match with Sean Ross Sapp. and stuff like that. And like seeing that match and you taking the baking sheet to the head, how did that feel being a part of that match? And like, and I'll get more in depth with like your homage to Tommy Dreamer and all the ECW stuff. So
Yeah, that was a really fun match. Going into, well, first off, a lot of people know this because I made it very known on social media. It was actually it was at Mission Pro Mania, the match. But Mission Pro Mania was actually running the same night as my one and only prom. And so I got the dates, the 2024 dates for Mission Pro, and I was like, yeah, I'm doing them all. Like, there's no question. Like, I'm Mission Pro or nothing. And so literally I was like, no, nothing's going on. Deep down, I thought I did, but I was like, no, it's fine. And my dad texted me and was like, hey, prom is running the same night as April 20th, and it happens to be Mission Pro Mania. And I was like, oh my God. I was a little sad at first because I was like, man, like, I sacrificed so much all the time. And I'm like, I just wanted to go to prom, but luckily I went to homecoming. But I was like, I just want a really, really awesome match. And I'm never going to forget. Like, I want this to like be 10 times better than prom. Like, I just want this to be so much fun. And like, I want the fans to enjoy it. Like, I just want to do something so different for me. And that's what the San Antonio Stampede match was. I think people never really thought that they would see that type of side from me, because you know they look at Izzy Moreno is just so colorful and happy and exciting, and she's also I really am truly Izzy Moreno. Like, I'm like, I connect with her on like the deepest levels. But I think when I came out with the jeans and the shirt, it was like, whoa, this is a complete 360 to what Izzy Moreno usually is. And it was awesome. You know, even though I despise JP Harlow, it was like legit such a fun match. The fans were so involved in it. I had all my little BFFs bring me little weapons. Like, it was just so amazing and just so much fun. Like, legit, that is one of my favorite matches. And growing up, every kid's dream is to have a hardcore match. And I was like, this is literally my dreams come true. Like, this is so much fun. I'm like, legit, I will never forget that match. And it was also such an important match because I became the Mission Pro Wrestling Cup holder, which allowed me to cash in to become Mission Pro Wrestling champion. So that match means a lot to me. I watch it legit, I think once a week because it just makes me so happy. And I like think about that time and I was like legit, like so proud of that match. And it was such an amazing weekend too. So yeah, that match, it was a lot of fun and it was really cool to be in it.
I'm gonna argue with you real quick. I ain't ever thought of I wanted to be in a hardcore match. Never in my life did I go, yeah, you know, I want to be beaten with light tubes. I'm good, or a cookie sheet or anything. So I'm gonna argue with you on that one. That only thing right there.
JP Harlow took a DDT off of friendship bracelets, dog. Like, yo,
I gave him a spine buster on some friendship bracelets. Like,
oh no,
that
I'm good.
was pretty. That was like the coolest part of the match, if you ask me.
I'm good. I am absolutely. I'm okay. You know, I'm good. I don't want that because I've already seen like, you know, like when AEW did the 4-sided dice and all that. No, I'm good. I'm good. I'll take a friendship bracelet, but I don't want to be spine buster, DDT. I don't want none of that.
It's okay because I made sure none of that happened to me, besides the baking sheet.
So, what made you decide? Hey, I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna leave where I'm from. I'm gonna head over to San Antonio. And I'm just gonna work with Mission Pro full time. Like, what? If you can talk about it, what made you decide that?
Yeah, I think really it was Mission Pro played a huge factor in it, but it was also my pro wrestling school, the Hybrid School of Wrestling, which is in San Antonio. I was introduced to Hybrid in 2021. My friend was like, "Hey, come down and train with us. We're here, but come down for the week." And so I did, and I was like, man, I really like it here. And it's like I think I can really get where I need to be if I'm here. And I really struggled with finding a pro wrestling school that fit for me because I used to train in Orlando and like years ago. And I was like, you know, I had to leave pro wrestling because of the pro wrestling schools in Orlando. And that, you know, that allows me to go into MMA. But anyways, I would go to Hybrid. I was there in 2021 for a week. Then I came back in 2022 and I would just kind of go back and forth. Like I'd stay for like a month and then I'd like stay for a couple weeks. And then for 2023, last year, when I was gearing up for my debut, I was there for the entire summer. And I knew I was going to kind of move there eventually. And I was already here in Texas so much, you know, I'd come back and forth for shows. Hybrid did monthly shows, like I've mentioned before. And so, like, literally, I was here every month. Then you throw on top of that, Mission Pro runs every other month. So, like, sometimes I'd be like at Hybrid one week, go back to Florida, come back to Texas for Mission Pro. And I was like, I think like eventually, like, I'm gonna have to move here, if I really want to get where I need to be. So that's, you know, I luckily I graduated high school early. So I was like, after I graduate high school, after I get done with that, I'll officially move. And what was so, and literally, it was so funny because right before I moved, a SEAL opened up his school in Orlando, and we basically like literally had all the plans to move to San Antonio. Um, and so I was like, hey, for the time being, just so I don't develop any ring rust, do you mind if I come train with you for, you know, for a couple months before I leave? And he's like, yeah, of course. And that was such an amazing experience as well. I definitely can't wait to go back. I think I'm going back to Orlando in August, so I definitely got to stop by for a little bit. But that was really awesome. For those who don't know, his school is called the Foundation Pro Wrestling. It is in Orlando, and it's like legit so awesome. It's truly incredible. I learned so much there, and I'm also learning so much here at Hybrid. But just getting to learn from A Steel, and basically, literally, he's giving you the foundation of pro wrestling, which is I just love. And the basics never go away. And I think for me, it was, you know, those couple months with him like really set me up for success for right when I got here in Texas. So legit, I'm so thankful for him to allow me to use his space, for letting me join his class for the time being. And I got to train with some amazing people too. But yeah, Hybrid and Mission Pro were like kind of the main factors to why I was going to move here. So yeah, I was like, I'm already coming so much. So I think it's officially time.
So when you first started training, I remember because Twitter had a field day. They were super excited that you were getting into the ring and starting your career. Did it scare you at any point because of how many people wanted you to succeed? Did it ever feel like it was going to be a whole lot on your shoulders?
No, I think for me, I was kind of like, I really want to make, you know, the people who I truly, truly love, like, you know, my family and like my close friends and my coaches really proud. I also want to make my fans proud, obviously. But I think like for me, I was like, if I really focus too much on making like the entire internet proud and the entire internet happy, then I'm just gonna like literally like just burn myself out. And that's what, you know, and that's what I kind of developed over the years. Because for me, at least, I don't really remember people being too excited when I got in the ring to train. I saw, you know, it was a majority of people who were really excited, and there was a majority who, you know, I got backlash for starting too young. So I think like I always remember that backlash specifically. But for the people who were supportive, I'll never forget those people. You know, from like Bully Ray, Alundra Blaze, Jonathan Coachman, like all those people, like they were kind of like my loudest cheerleaders besides my parents and my coaches. So I think, you know, I didn't let it get too much in my head. I definitely used the backlash as fuel, but like I didn't let like the pressure get to me. And we have a saying in my family, like pressure busts pipes, and I was like, that's not gonna happen to me at all. And I guess that didn't happen. So
Well, you know, congratulations.
Thank
For
you.
just doing everything that you've wanted to. You know, you said you couldn't talk a lot about what year 2 has in store, but where is somewhere that other than WWE, where's somewhere that you want to wrestle in this next coming year for your career?
That's hard because I think there's so many amazing promotions out there right now. I think for me, it's continuing with Mission Pro. Um, and you know, really defending this anywhere and everywhere. You know, whoever wants me to defend this, like I'm cool. Like I will go to whichever promotion to defend my Mission Pro Wrestling Championship. So whenever the opportunity brings up, like I'm ready. And I think that's the greatest part about being a champ is getting to defend this pretty much anywhere I want besides Mission Pro Wrestling. There's really nowhere like specifically, and I hate that there is no specific option, but I think for me, it's like I'm just so grateful that I get to wrestle. So like anytime I'm booked, I'm like, oh my God. Like I still get like super giddy about it. So yeah, like anybody who books me, like I'm like, oh my God, yeah, like cool. Like even if it's just a meet and greet or if it's an interview or actually a show, like I'm just like I always get so excited and I'm like, yes, let's do this. So really, like I said, there's nowhere specifically, nowhere, that I'm like, yes, but like I said, like whoever books me, I'm like extremely grateful and excited and just so happy to be doing it.
Wait, so you said you would defend that title anywhere?
Yes, anywhere. I'm happy with some restrictions because when I say anywhere, I do mean anywhere, but then at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to defend this at like a 7-Eleven. You know what I mean?
Chris, I got some ideas.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we're gonna have fun.
I'm not part of this.
Yes, you are.
Uh-oh.
It's already too late. All righty. So, yeah, we want you here in New Mexico. That would be amazing. So,
Ooh.
we would love to help any way possible that we can.
Yes, that'd be
especially
awesome.
with the promotions we work with. We would love to have you out here because
yes,
I
that
think
would be so much fun.
that'd be a check mark for you, right?
Yes, I really have only wrestled. I'm trying to think, like in Texas, Florida, North Carolina. I don't think I'm blanking on any other place, but yeah, I'm always like I love to travel, so like literally like anywhere I'm like, yes, let's do it. So let's go.
What are some bigger dates that you have for next month and into the latter of the end of this year?
Yeah, okay, so I know August 17th is the next Mission Pro Wrestling show. That's when I will be having my first title defense against La Rosa Negra, which I'm very excited about. She is one of the most well-respected former Mission Pro Wrestling champions, and she was handpicked by Thunder Rosa. And speaking about Thunder Rosa, I know that match is going to happen one way or another. I know Thunder Rosa loves to run away from me, but I can guarantee you it's going to happen this year, and I know it. I'm trying to think. I have August 25th. I want to say I have Atomic Legacy Wrestling, which is in the Central Florida area, which I'm very excited about. It's basically like my homecoming. I know WrestleCade is going to be at the end of November, so I'm planning to be there. I'm just trying to think. I know Mission Pro, they're going to announce other dates coming soon. I'm not really sure if I'm allowed to announce them, but they're going to have dates coming up. So everybody make sure you follow Mission Pro Wrestling on social media so you can stay updated. But yeah, that's really the main ones that are coming to mind. And if you guys follow me on social media, I always promote my shows, and you guys will always be the first ones to know where I'm going to be next. So you will know when Izzy Moreno is coming to a city near you.
Just not a Facebook. She don't got a Facebook. We had a little mix up. We had a little mix up with the Facebook.
Yes, I do not have a Facebook. I'm sorry.
I was telling him about that whole situation, and I was like, this was horrible, man.
I was in shock, really, because I kept on I'm used to having people make fake accounts for me. So I was like, oh, this is another fake account. But I kept on getting a lot of messages from people like, hey, there's a fake account. And I was like, I reported it, and I was like, that's so weird. But I was like, it's just a fake account. Like literally, like people just make them and then they'll post like 3 posts and then that's it. I don't know. This person was determined apparently. And then I kept on getting more, and I was like, oh, this is bad. So I'm so sorry that happened to you. I'm glad that we were officially able to do this correctly.
Definitely, because it was funny at the time, and I was like, oh, maybe just
we were like
situations
legit,
happen.
Oh, we don't want to mess with you because like you're kind of like a star in your own right. So we're like, oh, she must be busy. Like, okay, yeah, we'll push it, and then it started getting weird. Where it's like, coincidentally, you're canceling on us. So I was like, oh, okay.
That's so terrible. And I always every interview, I'm like, yes, let's do it. Like, let's lock it down within this next week. And I'm never one to wait on the interview, prolong it. So I was reading the messages and I was like, yeah, no, this is the complete opposite of me.
It was a funny situation, especially because we had to travel to go to another promotion is when I told him about it. And that made the car ride conversation. I was like, man, Izzy just doesn't want to be on our show. Funny enough, it wasn't you at all.
It wasn't me at all. There we go. No, I'm glad we were able to do this. Like, legit, I'm so sorry that happened to you, but I'm glad we were able to do this over.
Yeah, I'm very grateful that you came on our show.
Having me.
So being a younger wrestler, and especially, you know, what you've accomplished, can you give any advice to any of the younger wrestlers that we're showing this show to here in New Mexico that want to break out and basically take over the indies?
That's so hard for me. I think for me, this is pretty recent, the advice I received. It's from one of my coaches, but I think one of my favorite pieces of advice, really, I think about this on a daily, is be so good they can't deny you. And it sounds simple, but I feel like it's very loaded with the definition of that. I think for me, really, I'll speak on what that means for me, at least. I think for years, you know, I was always kind of like kept out of wrestling. And I was, you know, even when I had one match when I was 10 years old, you know, everybody was like, oh, no, like she shouldn't be wrestling. And so, you know, that's why I left wrestling. I didn't even like touch a ring for years. So when I made my debut, I don't think people really knew what to expect. They were like, oh, this is just going to be a flash in the pan. This is just going to be like, I don't know, like a weekend warrior type thing. And for me, I like to think my debut impressed a lot of people. And so that's where the whole be so good they can't deny you sort of comes in. And that literally means like be so talented and well-rounded that like they really can't deny you and they just can't say no. And I think like, you know, and a good example is when I was actually finding people to make my gear, I went to two people in Orlando, and they're very busy and they have a stacked schedule. And so they kind of like interviewed me a little bit. They're like, hey, tell us about yourself. And I can tell that they were trying every way to say no. And I really put it on for them. And I really told them about myself. And I made sure, you know, I was professional and respectful. And they were like, listen, they were like, you don't sound like a normal 16-year-old, but we think we can do your gear for you. And they're still doing my gear to this day. And I know it's only been like a year, but they are like, as busy as they are, they always do my gear and they always find time for me. So I think for me, I really like that piece of advice is be so good they can't deny you. I think some other little things that you'll kind of figure out along the way is trying to stand out. I think pro wrestling is literally a continuous cycle of reuse things, and not in a bad way, but I think with storylines, you know, we see, you know, them being reused today. And I think that's like kind of cool. Like we're kind of recycling stuff. I feel like that comes out bad, but you know, never be afraid to stand out. And I think for me, like I stand out a lot when it comes to like my ring gear and like my character and like coming out so bubbly and like even my promos. Like I don't think like really anybody's doing like this whole super fan character right now. Besides me, like, you know, then there's the friendship bracelets. I think finding ways to really stand out against the pack is really that'll come, you know, throughout the years. And also just social media presence. I think, you know, some people do struggle with social media, but luckily I've been so lucky to be able to build it among like the years I wasn't wrestling and, you know, when I was just a kid. But I think really finding a really good social media platform and also being different on social media too. So I think, you know, for young wrestlers, they're going to find it along the way. I'm still trying to figure stuff out along the way. Like every day I'm learning like, okay, maybe I got to try this next time. Okay, I'll try this instead. That's the whole business is trying new things, learning new things. So be so good they can't deny you is kind of like my number one thing as of late. And it always changes, but right now that's like one thing that stuck with me really well.
I think I like that you touched on the social media aspect because you are probably only one of the few ones that I see on social media that integrate the day in the life TikTok trend with the wrestler thing. And it could be as simple as that. Like, hey, get ready with me in the day in the life of being an MPW world champion, you know, and going about your day, like even like recently going to an Astros game and stuff like
It's
that.
so simple. And like
And
people don't understand like the simplicity of it is like literally it takes like for me it, like obviously the day in life thing was like an all day thing, but it takes like 2 seconds to set up my camera on my dresser, show me packing my bag. I think soon I'm gonna do a video of like what's in my wrestling bag for a show day. Like nobody's asked for that video, but I think people would want to like see that. And I think like literally it takes 2 seconds to like literally hold up your camera and be like, "Hey guys, come out to my next show on whatever date." Like I think that's such a lost art is promos, and that's why I gravitate to promos so much because it's like a dying breed right now is like promos. And so I love doing promos. So like literally it's I also the biggest thing is promos. Get so good on your promos because Sandman actually said this to me years and years and years ago. He said you don't have to be a good wrestler, you have to be a good character. And he was a good character and people were invested in him and they loved him. Um and I feel like for me, like Izzy Moreno is just a character. That's what she is. Like it's like that's what overtakes. And I'm not saying I'm bad in the ring because now I'm gonna sound like I'm like burying myself. But I think for me, I was like, I just want this to be so character oriented and just be so fun and so lovable. Like that's literally what I tried to do. So promos, you don't have to be a good wrestler, just be a good character. And I think that's kind of you're set for life.
I can agree with that, especially I love watching people's promo work. And there was an independent wrestler on my Facebook feed, and he said this, that you have to know the difference between a promo and just shooting out the show. A promo is going to show your character, who you
Yes.
are. Shooting out the show is like, hey, watch me and Chris beat each other to death with cookie sheets in a San Antonio parking lot, July 5th, $5 entry. Like that's what a lot of wrestlers, I think, mix up when they hear promo is they don't show themselves enough. They just show the business or the promotion, which is what you got to do, but you got to show yourself more. Because
Yes.
if it's just, oh, my name's Izzy, go watch Mission Pro, it's like we don't know who you are, but you cut your whole promo about who you are and you add the high energy and everything, then okay, yeah, cool, it's worth it.
Yes, that's what I try to do for all my promos is, I never want to lose the character. I don't, there's times where I do more serious promos and like those are honestly my favorite promos because like I look back and I'm like, wow, like I can feel the emotion. Like there's a couple, like I'm gonna be honest, there's been a couple promos when like I'm on the verge of crying and like you can't really see it, but like I know I know like there's certain parts in the promo I'm like, oh, I remember I was like about to burst into tears because they mean so much to me and like literally what I say and like what I think about what I want to say in the promo is literally what I feel and it's like I'll even throw in like little like tidbits of like my life and like what I've had to go through in the promo and like even though people might not catch on to it for me it's like man it means a lot to be able to tell my story not to be so quiet about this so promos they really do mean a lot to me because like realistically, like for years, I've always had people write my own story for me and kind of take the pencil for me and, create their own judgment and story about me. And, really the promo and within this past year, I've like taken the pencil back and I'm like, no, this is my story. This is the truth. This is it. But I think with promos, like I get to add even more and I get to, say stuff that's not like so blatantly obvious, but it's like, hey, you know, I've overcome so much and now I'm pouring out into a promo and, I get to kind of get away with it because it's a promo. So yeah, I adore promos so much. And I really think it's because of that. Like I get to put so much emotion and really get to share my story even more. And that's what I just love to do. So legit promos are like my favorite thing. Maybe I like it more than the wrestling because, like, legit, I adore promos so much.
I can't wait until we can meet you in person and have another
Yes,
interview.
absolutely.
Just sitting down and we get to have more time. As we begin to wind down, where can everybody find your socials?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Across the board, it's Izzy Mania, ITSIZZYMANIA. You'll see where I'll be next for shows on TikTok. I just started to post on TikTok again, so my day in lives, as mentioned. So yeah, just follow me. You'll become an Izzy Moreno BFF, and yeah, there's no better thing than being an Izzy Moreno BFF.
Well, we hope that we can get you down here to New Mexico to some of these
Yes.
promotions. We'd love to have you here.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being here. This
Thank you for having
a
me.
big get for us. This was awesome.
Oh my God. Thank you for having me. Like legit, this was so much fun. I really appreciate it. I'm so glad we were able to do this correctly. So thank you for having me. Like legit.
And we can't wait to see you defend your title, hopefully live one day. Also,
Yes.
everybody, she doesn't have a Facebook. That's all I'm going to say.
I do not have a Facebook. I do not. The rumors are not true.
We will see each and every one of you in the next video.